Hey guys, so Apple's big fall event literally just wrapped up a few minutes ago, and there was a lot of stuff that they unveiled. Some that we were expecting, some that we weren't expecting, but there are a lot of details to go over. So this is my rapid reaction video to everything they announced today. Let's take a look. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things tech, particularly those smaller tech items that increase your productivity, streamline your workflow, and make your life easier. Apple's annual iPhone announcement has become somewhat of a Christmas day for those of us tech enthusiasts. We know that we can always expect a new iPhone year after year, but during these announcements, there are some surprises that have come up from time to time, and this year was no exception. Yes, there were a lot of leaks that were leading up to the iPhone event this year, such as would we get new AirPods, would we get an iPad mini, would we get maybe a new iPhone size that we hadn't seen before. So some of those leaks actually came to fruition. Some of those were just, I don't know, maybe things that might get released later this year, maybe they're going to be released next year, or never released at all. So there were a few things that they announced in addition to the two new iPhones, of course. Let's take a look at everything they announced, and we'll get my rapid reaction on the things I'm probably going to buy, things I'm probably not going to buy, and things that I might be sort of on the fence about. So the first product announced during today's keynote was the upgraded 9th generation iPad. This is the entry-level iPad that has remained essentially unchanged for the last few generations, with the two major updates this year being the inclusion of the A13 Bionic, which is a step up from last year's A12, as well as the inclusion of center stage video recording, which you can use to essentially let your front-facing camera to follow you around during video conferences over Zoom, FaceTime, and also just if you're recording videos of yourself. It does also have True Tone on the screen, as well as it does have an increased storage capacity to starting with 64 gigs, whereas before I believe the storage capacity that it started with was 32 gigs. It's still the same $329 price. $299 for students and schools. But other than that, it's pretty much the same, kind of a pretty boring update. The next product announced at today's keynote, and this was actually a surprise because we didn't really see this coming, at least this year, was an updated iPad mini. Now, those of you who are familiar with the iPad mini know that it has not changed at all in its design since it was introduced. With this year's iPad mini, what they've done is they've basically taken the design language of the iPad Air that was released last year and shrunk it down into an iPad mini size. So whereas before the screen size of the iPad mini was 7.9, they've now increased the bezels to allow for an 8.3 inch screen size. So the iPad mini does come in 4 colors. The standard space gray does come in pink, purple, and something called Starlight, which I guess is Apple's new word for gold. They seem to be naming everything Starlight this year, so I guess it's something that is to make it a little bit different, but to me it still looks like gold. The iPad mini has a lot of the same features that the iPad Air does. So it includes Touch ID in the top button, like the iPad Air does. It has a USB-C port, but it does not have Thunderbolt like the iPad Pro. They do have a 5G version. The back camera is 12 megapixels with focus pixels and a wider aperture, and it does support 4K video recording. And it's got a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera on the front, which also supports center stage. It also has new speakers in landscape, so I'm assuming it's going to sound a lot better than previous iPad minis did. We'll have to see what it sounds like when we actually get our hands on it next week. It is compatible with the 2nd generation iPad Pencil, and it also comes with the new A15 Bionic processor. You can pre-order the iPad mini today and then it ships next week, or you can pick it up in an Apple store. I've actually ordered a couple, so I'll do an unboxing on the channel. We can take a look at how they compare with the iPad Pro that I already have. So overall, the new iPad mini actually looks pretty cool. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it or not, but I did pre-order it so I could see what it looks like and how it kind of stacks up to the iPad Pro. The thing that I was thinking about during this whole thing is, you know, this is pretty similar to the iPad Air that was released last year. And the main difference being you're now going to get a faster processor, and really, unless you need that extra screen real estate, it seems like the iPad mini is the way to go now, because you've got the faster processor, you've got center stage included in it, you've got better cameras. So I don't really know why you'd even need to go with the iPad Air unless maybe you just would like that bigger screen size. The one thing I didn't see that Apple talked about is the inclusion of some kind of a keyboard for this that you could buy separately. They did announce a folio cover, but I'm assuming lots of third-party manufacturers are going to be releasing keyboards. But it is interesting that Apple decided not to release any kind of a keyboard for this. But it is something that they could maybe release later this year or early next year, because Apple has been known to do that. So the next product that Apple announced was the Watch Series 7. And honestly, besides the bigger screens on these, there really wasn't a whole lot that would differentiate these from the Apple Watch Series 6. Apple claims that the bezels around the watches are 30% thinner, so you now have more screen real estate, and the buttons on apps and things like that have been redesigned to take advantage of that screen real estate. They're also including a new keyboard, which you can either tap or swipe on. However, I don't know too many people that have been actually texting on their watches using a keyboard. They've mostly been either using their voice or they've just been doing it on their phone. Apple claims that this is the most durable watch ever and is more resistant to cracks and scratches, so that remains to be seen. We'll have to see how it performs when we get it. They're also saying that it has the same all-day battery life, but because of a change in the way it charges, it can now charge faster. With the magnetic charger, they are now using USB-C versus USB-A, which they've used forever, and they're claiming that it charges 30% faster, and you can actually get up to a 70% charge in only 45 minutes. So we'll have to see how that performs once we get a hold of those. It does come in an array of colors. So it will be available in midnight, green, blue, and red, as well as starlight, which I'm assuming is gold. You can also still get it in graphite and titanium, as well as the Hermes model. I have personally never known anyone that has bought an Hermes watch, but they must be out there because they're still selling them. They're going to have some new color bands, and the nice thing is that all existing Apple Watch bands are compatible with the Series 7, so if you have an older watch and you don't want to throw away your bands, you won't have to. You can use all those same bands. Pricing starts at $399, although they still will sell the Apple Watch SE for $279 and the Series 3 for $199, and honestly, I don't know why anyone would want to buy the Series 3 at this point. It's so slow and outdated and small. It really does seem like a very kind of weird product that Apple is still trying to push. Maybe if they reduce the price to something like $99, it might be worthwhile, but honestly, I would either just go with the SE or the Series 7 at this point. As to whether I will upgrade, I'm gonna have to take a look at it. Apple said they're not releasing it until later this fall, so that could be any time between now and the beginning of December. So I'll take a look at it when it gets released. I'll definitely be ordering one. Whether I'm going to upgrade from my Series 4, I'll have to take a look and really see if I think it's worth the upgrade. Undoubtedly, the star of this show was the new iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pros. So we've got the same exact design that we had with the iPhone 12s, except for the fact that the notch on the screen is 20% smaller. So you've got a little bit more screen real estate to work with. All four models of the iPhone 13 come with the new A15 Bionic chip, and Apple is claiming that the internals for both phones have been redesigned to fit in bigger batteries as well as upgraded components. So starting off with the iPhone 13, as I said, it has the smaller notch. It does come in the 6.1 inch screen size as well as the iPhone mini 5.4 inch screen size, so they're trying that again. The camera module has been redesigned. They're now diagonal. They're claiming with the cameras that there's 47% more light in the wide camera, and they're also including sensor shift optical image stabilization in both models of the 13 and 13 mini, which comes over from the 12 Pro from last year. They also claim that there's a new display engine and video encoder and decoder, and they're saying that the screen is 28% brighter at 800 nits peak and 1200 nits max. Apple is saying that they're including more 5G bands, and by the end of the year that they're going to have over 200 carriers that the phone can be used on with 5G. What I think is arguably the biggest update to these iPhones is the inclusion of what Apple calls cinematic mode, which essentially turns your iPhone into a professional video camera where you can blur the background to give you way more cinematic shots than you could before. Apple released a movie that was shot entirely on an iPhone 13 during the keynote, and it looked pretty amazing. So I'm really anxious to try this out in person, see how it works, and see if it's something that I could use when making my videos for the channel. Besides that, it will come in pink, blue, midnight, red, and of course Starlight. It starts at $699 for the mini and then $799 for the regular iPhone 13. One cool thing that they did announce is that they've redesigned the MagSafe wallet. So if any of you have used those with your iPhone 12, I've heard some different reports that it kind of falls off and you might lose it from time to time. They've now included Find My in the wallet, so I'm assuming they're putting an AirTag or at least the AirTag technology in the wallet. And they said if you do end up losing it and it becomes detached from your phone, you'll get a notification right away. So that might be something cool. I can't see myself ever really using that though. They also claim that both phones will now have better battery life, so they're saying that the mini will have 1.5 times better battery life than the iPhone 12 mini, and the iPhone 13 will have 2.5 times better battery life. So I know a lot of people complained about the battery life, particularly with the mini, so it'll be interesting to see if those claims actually add up. And the final product they talked about, of course, was the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. So again, same design, 20% smaller notch, redesigned internals, bigger battery, the A15 processor, pretty much all the same stuff that's on the iPhone 13. However, the cameras have all been upgraded, so we have better ultra-wide, better wide camera. Telephoto lens can now go up to 3 times optical zoom. You can also do macro photography with the ultra-wide camera. And Apple introduced something called photographic styles, which are basically personal preferences that you can save on the phone, and you can use them prior to shooting photos and videos. So if there are particular things that you like to use every time you shoot, you can bring those up really quickly, which is something that might be kind of cool, especially for professional photographers and videographers. You can also change the level of bokeh, so you can decide how much you want the background to be blurred with your photos. And the one thing that we've been waiting for, probably for at least the last 2 or 3 years, is they finally included a ProMotion display on the iPhone Pros. So it now goes anywhere up to 120 Hertz depending on what you're actually doing on the phone. So that'll be kind of cool to see when the iPhone gets here. I love having ProMotion on my iPad Pro, and it'll be cool to see how it changes when you have a smaller screen and how it responds to the different things that you're going to be doing on the phone. They're also claiming that it's the fastest graphics in a smartphone ever with a new 5-core graphics GPU. They're saying that it's 50% faster graphics than ever before. And they're saying that the Super Retina XDR is a more efficient OLED panel with 1000 nits outdoor peak brightness. As far as colors, it's pretty much the same colors that we got last year with graphite, gold, silver, and then it looks like they've slightly tweaked the blue from last year and they're calling it Sierra Blue. So it's kind of a lighter sort of sky blue this year. I'm gonna have to see how it looks because I'm not really sure. I currently have the Pacific Blue, which I really like, but I'm not a huge fan of lighter blue colors. So I'm gonna have to see if I wanna get that one or stick with the graphite. One other thing they announced with the keynote that will come later this year with a software update is the inclusion of ProRes video. This is for professional videographers who would really like to fine-tune their videos in Final Cut, and it will allow them to do that by increasing the file size and allowing them to edit certain things that you can't edit otherwise. So it'll be interesting to see that. I probably won't use that too much because I don't do a lot of tweaking to my color grading, things like that right now, but I know a lot of videographers will like to see that. And it looks like they haven't changed the prices, so the Pro will start again at $999 and the Pro Max will start at $1099, but they are now including a 1 terabyte storage option. So for those of you who are always running out of space, you will have that option, although right now they don't have a price listed for it on their website, but I'm assuming it's going to be extremely expensive. And like usual, pre-orders start this Friday at 5 a.m. and then they will go on sale on September 24th. Quick side note here, I feel like Apple is now torturing those of us who live on the West Coast by making us get up at 5 a.m. while the East Coasters can get up at a normal time. Whereas before, we got to order our phones at midnight while the East Coasters had to stay up until 3 in the morning. So Apple, it would be nice if we could get a normal time to order our phones in the future. Just saying, for those of us who aren't early risers. So I'm curious to hear what you guys thought of the event today. If any of you guys watched it, do you think you might be getting any of these devices? Do you have an older device that you're going to upgrade? Did you not feel like anything was that compelling that you're going to buy anything right away? As for me, I'm going to have to see exactly what the products are like, and I know I'm probably going to be upgrading my iPhone as I'm in the iPhone upgrade program, and I usually do every year. As far as the iPad mini, like I said, I did order one, and I'm going to be unboxing it on the channel next week so we can take a look at that. As far as the Apple Watch, when they release it later this fall, and see if I want to upgrade it. As I said, I have a Series 4, and while it's still operating fine, I would like to kind of get in on the trade-in value before it completely disappears, and I know that's probably going to happen once they release the Series 8 next year. So once again, thanks again very much for watching. Really appreciate all the new subscribes to the channel. If you like this content, please remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, as it helps me grow and produce more content. Please stay tuned for my iPad mini and iPhone unboxing videos later next week, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks again for watching.